Happy Saturday afternoon, Tucson. That you're listening to the Market Corner. My name is Sean Campbell, and your host today. I was excited for today because it's just me and my buddy DB.
Yes,
We're doing a little
sir.
fist pump
Good
right
morning.
now.
Good morning.
We should have asked John to switch out the leading song from just the two of us from Grover Cleveland now.
There you go.
Grover Washington.
Yeah.
I said Grover Cleveland. Wasn't he like a president or something like that?
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. Grover Washington. Just the two of us. Because it's just the two of us today.
us, you and I.
For the audience, we had a little debate before the show started. You thought it was a Will Smith song. It's not a Will Smith song. Will Smith redid it.
A remake,
Yeah. I don't want to criticize Will too much because he might show up in the studio and want to knock
Smack
me
you.
out.
Yeah.
What a great week, aside from our beloved Wildcats losing, the comeback was tremendous. Caleb Love was tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
We fell short. I hate to say it, but Duke is just a great team.
Oh, man. Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
Kid's
yeah.
amazing. He's different.
He doesn't have any, down, no, he's just relentless.
Baller.
And I love his attitude. The one thing that is his, I don't want to say it's a weakness at all, but sometimes he's overly committed to being too much of a great teammate.
Right.
Well,
He's too good.
Yeah, while his coach just
All
wants
around.
him. Yeah, his coach just wants him to just go, dude.
Yeah, dude, make a mistake or something.
Yeah, he's too good. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up in the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a tough game too. I think it's today against Arkansas.
Yeah.
No, Alabama.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. Yeah, so we're
Alabama
heading
and
Elite Eight. After tomorrow, we'll be at the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I love the Wildcats. I love this team that we had.
Yeah.
It was we just went up against a tremendous team.
Yeah.
And you Wildcat fans who are criticizing them for being down 19 with 13, they came back.
Yeah.
They're relentless. They it made it close. I think they got within 5.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can't, and that's going to be our topic. You didn't know this, but that's going to be a topic of today.
Yeah, I was like, hey, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about just being persistent, right? I mean, as in life and as in business, I mean, we are going to have our adversities, right? And the Cats went through a heck of a lot of adversities with 30 seconds left in that first half. I think it was tied. By the time of the halftime, we're down by 6 because Flag hit a couple of three-pointers. He hit one three-pointer right there at the buzzer.
Yep.
And, before they knew it, they were down 19 with 13 left. And the Wildcats are a good team.
Yeah.
I mean,
next year is going to be interesting too.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the best conference in the country, the Big 12. Every team top to bottom is tough. Every road game's tough.
Yeah. And
Besides ASU. ASU sucks,
Yeah,
right? We all know that,
yeah,
right?
well,
But
you always have that weak link. The weak link.
But being persistent, going through adversity, they came back. They came up short, but you got to be proud of the way they fought.
Yeah.
Well,
and there's still 2 Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
In
yeah.
the
Well,
Elite
Houston had
Houston
a
and
phenomenal
Texas Tech,
finish.
yeah.
And Texas Tech, yeah. In my brackets, I actually had an all Big 12 final.
Really?
The Cats, Houston, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. That was but it's kind of gone by the wayside.
Yep.
But oh well.
Yeah.
Right. But adversity. Now here's a question: have you ever gone through adversity in your business career, David?
Oh boy.
That's not a simple yes or no, is it?
Yeah, more times than I guess I'd want to experience.
Yeah.
Looking back, back in 1996 is when I got into insurance.
That's about when you and I met.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Because the first time I met, I put my finger behind your ears and they were still wet.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yep. I had a towel right behind my desk. Yeah, I was 26 years old. Wow.
Whoever's listening right now is changing it. Okay.
Okay, next.
Let's put on some oldies.
Yeah. But no, I was 26 years old, and I was just like, wow. I had my own business at 26. I'm like, what am I doing? And yeah, there was a lot of adversity, a learning curve, your ups and your downs and, failures. I didn't staff appropriately. And at 26, you start making all this money and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. Now looking back, speaking to my younger self, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
I was just going to ask you that question. I know it's very, very cliche.
Yep.
But if you had that opportunity to kind of poke through a cloud and talk to yourself at 26 years old in that office off Oracle that you had,
Yep. Oracle and Roger.
would you give yourself any advice, or would you just be like, hey,
2 words: delayed gratification.
oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Delayed gratification. I heard that
Yeah.
at a Medicare conference last year,
Yeah.
and of course, I heard it from a 26 or 27-year-old.
Really?
Yeah, it's just insane.
Wow. Wow.
This guy's a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Sold his
Yeah.
agency and stuff, but
Yeah.
delayed gratification.
Yeah. Real quick before I forget, you are at a show this weekend.
Oh yeah, the home show.
Yeah.
Yep, Southern Arizona Home Show at
Yeah.
TCC, Tucson Community Convention Center, Tucson Convention Center. United paid for a booth, and me and our
Yeah.
agents are staffing
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. So what are you giving away? If someone says, "Hey, I listened to you on the show
knowledge,
today,"
nothing.
get a hug. Get a hug.
A hug, a high, and a card, a business card.
I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I assist you a little bit with, just a little bit with your social media.
Oh, absolutely.
What's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday's April 1st.
Tuesday, April 1st.
You may or may not have an April 1st, an April Fool's Day post coming out.
Oh, right.
It's hilarious.
Okay, I can't wait. It's funny because
Because you don't know what I'm doing for you.
oh no. I mean, I get on there and I look, and I get all these
You're
likes.
like, hey,
and
that's
I
my
get-
head
yeah,
on
yeah,
a little body.
I get. What's that big head? I look at the posts that you do. They're phenomenal, by the way,
Thanks.
Sean. You're doing a great job. But I get all these likes. I get these comments. I mean, I get text messages sometimes. Hey, that was a great article. I'm like,
Oh, cool.
okay, cool.
That's very
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
So I get in there and read it real quick, so I know what the heck's going on.
What I should do is give you access to my little program. So if you ever want to sneak peek and just see what's coming around the corner, you can do that.
There you go.
That's what I should do.
Or sneak something
But
in
I'm
there.
not.
Or I'll sneak something in there and see if you notice.
I noticed. No. You're going to fire me for something that you did.
Oh man, it's funny. I mean, I'm going to bring this up. My buddy Patrick Quigley, my best friend, and business partner, he sent me a screenshot. He's like, "What the heck is this?" And it was one of my business posts, and it was some girl in a bikini. I was like, "Sean, what is this?"
That wasn't me.
It's a great picture.
Got a lot of attention.
At least it was
But
good
you
looking,
sent me a screenshot, and I'll be honest, the first 20, 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, what did I do?
You're right.
I mean, I know I was up late last night, I had a few beers, but I wasn't. I usually shut my laptop and close it.
After the second beer, I'm done. Yeah, no more work.
But yeah, if you follow David Bradley on Facebook or LinkedIn, David Bradley, it's David Bradley, Medicare
Insurance.
A to Z
Yeah,
insurance.
David
right?
Bradley Insurance, Medicare. A to Z,
So
yeah.
I think you're going to like your April Fool's Day post.
Nice.
With you
nice.
and all my clients. I mean,
Yeah, we have an event that night too.
we do. Please come out. It's at the Arizona Sands.
Sands
it
Club,
is
yep.
free.
Yep. It's
Or
Sands
complimentary.
Club, not
Sands.
Sam's.
Yeah, we're at-
S-A-N-D.
we're at Sands. We're buying
S.
everybody a hot dog. It's Arizona Sands Club, right?
Yeah, right there.
Fifth
at the-
floor at the U of A Stadium. If you have not been there, it is beautiful.
That's a great place.
Beautiful. I'm hosting it with Adley Hunt, who's one of the sponsors now of the show. She is phenomenal.
She's a realtor, right?
She's a realtor.
I've not
And
met her
then
yet.
a buddy of mine, Max, who works at Login LLC.
Okay.
3 of us are co-hosting it together. We put it together so it's free for everybody that shows up, whether you're a member or not, right? And at first, I approached the Sands Club, and I'm like, "Hey, on April Fool's Day, can we do a little, networking thing? Get members and non-members together?" And I'm like, "I got a theme for it." And they're like, "Sean, what is it?" And I'm like, "You want to fool around on April 1st?" They're like, "No, we can't do that. But if you come up with something serious," I'm like, "Okay, let's get serious on April Fool's Day."
There you go.
And that's what it is. So if you want to get serious about your networking, every show we've had, this is show number 31.
Yeah,
Every show that we've had, we always talk about networking and being 1 degree away from everybody in Tucson.
Yep.
So if you're listening, this is your shot. Get out of your comfort zone. I have a few buddies of mine that I convinced who've never been networking. I don't know how I did this, but I said, "Hey guys," and John, John actually subscribes to the YouTube. Hello, John. He's going to be there Tuesday. And
Really?
Yeah, and he's never networked.
Yeah.
He's going to be an attorney very, very soon. And I'm going to say, John, you need to learn the art of shaking hand, kissing babies.
Yep.
And he's a phenomenal guy. He just needs to get out of his shell,
Yeah.
right? And another thing, it's like at the Arizona Sands, everybody's vetted, right? You pay $130 for the right to buy a $10 beer there,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's a decision maker, right? So Tuesday night, April 1st, 5 to 7, be there. We've already wrapped up our first segment of the Marketing Corner.
Wow.
We'll be right back. And we're back in the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. If you have any questions for myself or David Bradley, today's 520-790-2040. We're talking a little adversity / getting out of your comfort zone. And we're going to be sharing some of our own experiences of, when we've kind of, some of our failures and how we've overcome them, So I think today's going to be, the rest of the show is going to be super powerful.
Yeah.
And, we've always preached that adversity and failures is just part of the game. One of the things that I loved about this past week, it's opening week for baseball.
Yeah.
What's baseball all about? The essence of baseball. It's overcoming failure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Overcoming failure.
Yeah.
There's one of last year's, guys running for Rookie of the Year, Jackson Chourio, right? Highly touted, outfielder for the Brewers, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal. He was only 20 years old this year. This year he's starting off hitting leadoff for Milwaukee. You know what he does his first day?
Home run. Nope. Strikeout.
5 times.
Yeah.
He struck out 5 times in one game.
Yeah. It's amazing because you bring up baseball. It's like you hit 300, your batting average.
Yep.
You're a star.
Yeah. And for the audience who doesn't follow baseball, what does that mean when you're a 300 hitter?
Yeah.
You failed 7 out of 10 times.
Yep.
Right. But it's that mindset. I just saw that. I was looking at the box score before we came on, and Jackson Chourio has his first hit of the year. So he immediately shrugged that horrible day off.
Yeah.
Probably the worst day in opening day history, striking out 5 times as a leadoff batter. Right. But what does he do? He comes back the very next game and gets on base with a base hit and whatnot. And just you got to be able to,
It's a mental.
Yeah.
It's all mental. Same with business. I mean, it's I have little one-liners and stuff. Like clichéness, whatever. We are our worst enemy.
Right.
And getting out of our own way, and striving to be better and move forward.
Right. Right. What from a business perspective? I mean, I think ourselves is kind of our biggest, critic. Probably our biggest competition is just ourselves, right? But what other factors, in a general sense, without getting too deep, in a general sense, I mean, we got, our competition, right? How do you overcome something that you see your competition is doing better than you?
It's that's a great question. And I think it depends. I mean, every scenario is a little bit different. What I do myself is just try and be better every single day.
Yeah.
And then it's okay. So in my business, there's probably, probably 300 plus independent Medicare agents here in Southern Arizona, maybe even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, why would an individual want to do business with me compared to a counterpart or a competitor?
Yeah.
Right?
And your clientele are people that are turning 65 and older.
Yep.
Right.
Or a disability for 2 years.
Or a disability for 2 years. So you got a small part of the general population to work with.
Yeah.
And there's 300 plus of you. So
you got to find. With me, you got to find a niche.
Right.
Or niche.
Right.
And what I've done basically is, my target market, what I decided I wanted to really focus on are those turning 65, because I'm an educator.
Yeah.
I want to teach people Medicare. I want to, so they can understand it. My tag phrase is, helping you navigate the Medicare maze.
Right.
And just doing something different. I was speaking in front of a group one day, and I said, you know what? I treat everyone like my own mother.
Yeah.
And then some guy raised his hand. He's like, well, it depends on what your relationship is with your mom. And I was like, I mean, that's a good point. So I follow it with my mom's my best friend,
Yeah.
And I treat everyone like family.
That was a tremendous segue into who's on the phone
Uh-oh.
right
Is
now.
it? Oh boy, Mom, my number one fan.
Your number one fan. Are you there?
Hello.
I'm here.
There you are. Hi, Carla. How
Hi,
are
ma'am.
you?
I'm doing good. I just called in to tell you hi.
Yeah. Now you know you've
And-
never even met Sean, and
Yeah,
I
not in
think you guys
person.
are
No,
like
yeah.
you know almost best
Yeah.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked on the phone now 3 or 4 times.
Well, he gave me permission to call. Okay.
Whenever you want, Carla.
Yeah, whenever you want.
Absolutely.
Also, I have something even for your listeners. I got a text mail this morning from a scam that is going around regarding toll road bill.
Oh yeah, I
with
got one
the-
yesterday. Yeah, you have a toll outstanding balance.
I got it too.
I-
I got
yeah.
it
Hey,
also.
let me get in and pay that.
Yeah, yeah.
I got it this morning, and well, forget that. I know it's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, David, no, I don't need a referral. He
Okay, good. Yeah, we had a
So
discussion
anyway.
yesterday about going to a specialist and everything.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Well, I need
Yeah.
a referral. I don't think you do.
Yeah.
and I don't. And I thought of it last night when I was getting ready to fall asleep, and I go, oh gosh, no, I don't need
Yep.
one.
Well, that's good to know.
All right.
So anyway,
All right. Well,
All right, Mom, I
thank
love
you,
you.
Carla.
I love you too, David, and you guys are great on the phone,
thank you.
and I appreciate everything you talk about.
Awesome.
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Carla.
you're welcome.
All right. I'll take you to lunch tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Taking her to Little Anthony's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think she just had lunch there. I think
Yeah.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Little
Yeah.
Anthony's is like the best
Comfort food, man.
comfort food. And it's cheaper than McDonald's.
Yeah.
You get way more food. It's better food, and it's cheaper than McDonald's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they should pay for my lunch.
I know, no doubt. Maybe we can get Tony Terry on here, the owner of Gaslight Little Anthony's Diner.
Yeah. So with you and like realtors in particular, right? I mean, you cannot pay me enough money in the world to be an insurance agent in Medicare or a realtor.
Yeah, it's not sexy, man. It's,
Well,
Insurance
It's
isn't.
not that. It's the competition out there.
Yeah.
You know, that would mess with my head so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
you know what really drove me, and hopefully my mom's still listening because I'm gonna call her out, and my late stepfather, my pops. When I decided to get into insurance with Farmers Insurance, you know, my pops said, well, "You're out of your mind."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That fueled me.
Yeah.
That fueled me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, tell me I can't, and I will.
Right. Yeah. And you know, if there is anything that you still have in common with that 26-year-old David Bradley back in the day, is that part of it?
Yeah,
You still have
the drive. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, we talked about this during the first break. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going. This is my 20th year of doing Medicare.
20th
20
year.
years.
Oof.
You know, 15 years on the. I worked for corporate America and
Yeah.
just hit my 5-year mark as an independent agent.
Wow.
And you know, I look back and like, God, 20 years. You know, to overcome that complacency is, you know, we talked about this too. Is you know, doing it afraid.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
Right.
that drives me. That
Yeah.
motivates me. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, yeah, I public speak. I do presentations, seminars, workshops. I've been doing that for 20 years.
Right.
And you know, someone asked me too. It's like, don't you ever get, you know, doesn't it get old? You know, doesn't
Yeah.
it just
Right.
you're complacent, right?
Right.
But no, because I mean, as long as you have that sense of nervousness
Yeah.
inside you,
Yeah.
I mean that
Yeah.
that just keeps me going.
Yeah. One thing, I don't know if I've shared this on this show yet, but you're talking about putting yourself in a position where you're kind of afraid, kind of, you know, you're backing yourself up in a corner. When I started my agency, and it's funny because it'll be 10 years in November, right? When I started
Damn,
my
time
agency,
flies, man.
I burned every bridge with the last employer that I had. You know, and it wasn't anything personal. It's just I didn't want to give myself any opportunity to be hired back if I needed to. And, you know, talking about being scared. You know, I had saved up, which I thought, and I'm not saying this is the way to do it. And, you know, let me preface that. I thought I had enough money to save to pay all my bills for 6 months, which is not good. It should be for a lot longer.
No, minimum a year.
And then,
minimum.
and then what happened is, you know, my daughters needed some money. This happened.
yeah.
My truck broke down, And that money that I thought I'd saved up that
Gone.
would last for, it was gone.
Gone,
In
yeah.
the first few weeks.
Yep.
In the first few weeks after I sent that email, and going on my own as an independent marketing agency,
Yeah.
right? And I only had like 3 clients. That's it.
Yeah.
I only had 3 clients, and talking about being scared.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was fight or flight, but it was one of those things where I literally would be in Starbucks every day. That was my office. Get a coffee, grind it out, go do some networking, go shake hand, kiss babies,
Yep.
and follow up. My rates back then were very, very competitive, as they are right now, still today. But eventually, by the end of that summer, which was another horrible decision I made, was to start a business here in Tucson during the summer.
Right.
Everybody's out of town.
Yeah.
But I was making all the noise. Everybody was out of town, kind of, how we are in Tucson. We take the summer off,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
But I was the one making all the noise. I did all kinds of free, like you're a great educator. I was doing free classes on how to, run your Facebook ads, how to do this.
I
how to,
remember you telling me
yeah,
that.
yeah. I was in front of, hundreds of realtors. I was in front of hundreds of small business owners, and I would just make it happen, right? And by the end of that summer, I had maybe 15, 20 clients. But by no means I was confident in myself, but there's a little bit of fear. And I think even today, I still wake up thinking there's somebody out there who's going to eat my lunch. And I think when you don't have that, that's when it's time to call it a day.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we have about 30 seconds
Yeah,
left
you
in
need
this.
that. You need
Yeah.
that motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my mailbox is my motivator. you know.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have any more questions for us, 520-790-2040. You're listening to The Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, and we're here with Medicare specialist David Bradley from Medicare A to Z. We'll be
hello.
back after the bottom of the hour. We're back in The Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, with here my good buddy David Bradley in his 20th year of Medicare, and I'm entering my 10-year anniversary when I started my social media agency.
Yeah, we started at 12.
Yeah, we were we were talking a little bit about, and again, I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but you had a regional manager back with Farmers Insurance who told you, and we're telling this story, off air right now, and I asked David to stop so I could share this story with everybody. What did he tell you?
He said, if you want to start making more money, and thrive, basically. He said, buy something.
Yeah.
Go buy something, and
Yeah.
not like an outfit.
Right.
I mean, he's talking. Go buy a boat. Go buy a
Right.
car, motorcycle.
So what happened with me?
Or go buy a
I
house.
was, I was probably in my second or third, maybe. Well, let me think about it. My third or fourth year on my own, was doing well. Kind of hit a plateau, right? And I look at this as it was an omen. I was driving. Someone was a new Nissan Altima, beautiful car, right? What happened? I get rear-ended, total, right? I only had it for a few months.
Wow.
Right? And I was like, you know what? I'm not challenging myself enough, right? And I'm not saying this is the way to do it. Let me preface this. I had, my insurance check, whatever. I got myself a new car. I did not even ask what the sticker price was, what my monthly payments were. I'm just like, this is the car. I still got my car.
You're
We
like-
pay it off in September.
You're like, I love this.
I love my car,
Yep.
right? And it's not by no means like something that's going to be sold at, Barrett Jackson.
Oh, you never know.
But it's close. No, I'm just kidding. But it's something that motivates me every day when I step into it, because I got to feel like I need to earn being able to drive in a car that I love like this.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a dumb thing to do, but what happened? My agency kind of boomed up a little bit. I forced myself. I put myself again in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot more better ways to do it than that. But that's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
you know?
you bring up a good point too. Is to build your business, grow your business, or whatever. I mean, if you're working
Right.
at Home Depot or whatever, I mean, you're
Right.
working for corporate America.
Right.
You want to better yourself. You want to kick it up.
Yeah.
A few notches. Get
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. And for me, and you're the same way, I think. You realize that, I call you an expert. However, you're always learning your trade.
Oh, absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
I hate it when somebody calls me a social media guru, or I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I'm studying. The book I'm listening to, an audiobook I'm listening to right now, it's This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. Seth Godin's an expert. He's a genius when it comes to marketing. But here I am. I got my marketing degree from the U of A. I've been
Yeah.
in sales. I've done every aspect of
Yeah,
marketing.
you have. Yeah.
But what have I been doing this week? I get up, I do my walk, and I'm listening to this book.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you should always be learning.
Yeah.
You should always be learning. I
Absolutely.
don't care how long you've been in the game.
And that's you know, this is what I have conversations with, you know, my buddy Patrick all the time.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the way I look at Medicare, it's like we can never be complacent because
No.
it always changes, and
Right.
that's what I love about this
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
because the government has
Yeah.
their hand on
Yeah.
everything.
And that's what I love about social media.
they
It's
say. John, we
always
say,
changing.
Yep.
I freak out if I don't see something new in Ads Manager or TikTok. If there's something, a new feature that I hadn't noticed in a week or so.
Sometimes it seems daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across all the platforms that I'm always in, if I don't notice something new, I feel like I'm behind. I'm missing something.
Yep.
You know, I panic a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
So
Knowledge is power. You know.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it was funny. I shared this story a few weeks ago. It's like one of my clients' daughter was on a Zoom with me and the client, and the daughter's trying to tell me that TikTok was bought by Facebook. And I'm like,
Where are you getting your information?
yeah. It's like no, I think I would have known.
Yeah.
That's kind of a seismic change in social, you know. So, but anyway, there's another thing that you had brought up, you know, during the break about, you know, that day that you left corporate, you went from earning X amount to earning
Nothing.
nada. How did you feel? Let's put you back. Let's put you back. And that morning you woke up.
Without saying things I'm not.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
can't
say on the
curse,
air.
you can't
Yeah. It was. Well, you know, it was.
Did you sleep that night before at all?
You know, I honestly, I mean, I was excited. I
Okay.
really was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
horrific at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
You mean horrified? Excited but horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that motivated me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like my main goal was, and even when we bring on new agents, you know, when we're training new agents and getting them into the business, is you know, start with your short-term goals, right?
Yeah.
You know, what's your target? Or, you know, how much do you want to make a year? And then we
Right.
just move backwards and say, okay, how
Right.
are we going to get there, right?
Yeah.
So my first goal was 100 clients.
Yeah.
100 clients. You got to focus on 100, focus on 100, and it seemed like forever
Yeah.
to hit that 100.
Right.
But once you hit that 100,
Yeah.
it just opens up the floodgates,
Mhm.
you know, because then referrals start coming in, and then they tell everybody, and it just multiplies.
Did you, you know, you're talking about reverse engineering it. I mean, did you break it down so much to where it's like,
Daily.
okay, yeah. Yeah. So you broke it down monthly, then weekly,
Yep.
then daily, what you got to
Yep.
do every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. How many people do you need to talk to get how many sales,
Yeah.
you know, on a daily, weekly basis,
Yeah.
and then, you know, push it out a month, and then do the quarter, then, you know, for the year.
Yeah.
You know.
So is your day structured still to reach those goals? Or
Or
is it just kind of like
yes
on
and no.
instinct
I
now?
mean, right now, I mean, everything is just, you know, firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
But, you know, you always have to plan for, you know, the little speed bumps that happen, you know, throughout
Right.
the day or whatever. You have
Right.
to put out fires.
Yeah.
Fortunately enough, I have, you know, some staff to help with service work,
Yeah.
you know, that take that off my plate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, the clients don't want to talk to anyone else. They want to talk to you.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's just a factor of kind of like retraining them
Yeah.
or training your clients
Yeah.
on the processes
Yeah.
and, you know, how we do things.
Yeah. Have you ever like studied EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System? You know, typically organizations have what's called a visionary. It's who's typically the CEO,
Right.
who is the idea guy or a woman, right? The person comes up with the ideas, the kind of probably the face of the company. And then to complement that is the integrator, who's typically the COO or the CFO, right? Who kind of is the governor of all the ideas, you know, if it makes sense financially to pursue it or not, right? What do you think you're more, a
gosh.
visionary or an integrator?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm the jack of all trades, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I wear so many different hats. You know, that's
What's
that's
your
why-
better
that's-
better strength? Are you more of a visionary? Or you're more of the numbers guy.
Wow, that's tough too. I mean, because I have the vision, you know, the integration part as well. what I do best is just get me in front of people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
give me a
You are
room.
very unique because typically the numbers guy, which I think behind the scenes you're more of a numbers guy, right?
Yeah.
However, when you put you quote unquote on stage, you're very much a people person.
Yeah.
And
After 5, I'm numbers guy.
right,
Yeah.
right. And typically the CEO or CFO of an organization is not that person who's going to go out and greet people and network
No,
and whatever.
no.
That's
the
the
bean
CEO.
counters. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you truly are a little bit of both.
Yeah. No,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? So and I think you have to be.
Yeah, after 5
know,
o'clock, I'm the
right.
financial guy. You know?
Right, right.
And then, but during the day and peak hours, it's
Yeah.
making things happen.
What do you do when you're? Because I'll admit, sometimes I don't feel like networking. I'm kind of exhausted. I
Yeah.
don't want to be in front of people. But when you know, like this weekend, if you hit a wall during the home show, I mean, what do you do?
Typically, well, the home show, a great example, right? So typically, there's someone there with me as well.
Yeah,
So to
Yeah.
help with overflow.
yeah,
Because if you're the only one person there and you got 10 people coming up,
right.
they want to talk now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I go for a walk.
Yeah,
Kind of
Yeah.
clear your mind.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah.
Because
So
that's the other aspect of it. Is your physical health, your mental health. You got to have outlets.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, I know I'm best. I'm best at handling the adversities and the stress that come during a day.
Right.
When I get up, and no matter if I'm tired or not, I do a walk.
Mm-hmm.
A mile and a half, 2 miles, sometimes 3. Typically on Sundays, I'll go for a longer walk, right? To just be outside, get some fresh air,
Yeah.
right? But when I do that consistently, then everything else seems to fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's a little saying that I tell myself. It's like I want to do more by 10 o'clock, 90% more by 10 o'clock than most people are going to do all day.
Yeah. Reminds me of
know
the
what I
Army
mean?
commercial.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it an Army commercial?
Yeah, something like that. I do more by 10 a.m. than you do
Oh,
all
yeah,
day.
yeah. I want to do more by 10 a.m. than most people do all day.
Mhm.
If I do that, then I have a great day.
Oh, absolutely. You're already ahead of the game.
And then I also try to get my most difficult discussions, conversations, tasks done first.
I love difficult situations.
Yeah.
Problem
and-
solve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and get them done first. And then the rest of your days, I don't want to say it's cake, but it's a heck of a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're listening to the Marketing Corner. We're already done with the third
Wow.
segment. It's gone by super, super fast.
Tell you, we got to go 2-hour show.
We need a few more sponsors for that, dude.
Yeah.
Find a few more sponsors. So we appreciate you listening. If you have any questions for us during the last segment, it's 520-790-2040. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, here with special guest, David Bradley. Welcome back to the Marketing Corner. Sharing stories of how we strong-armed our buddy, the radio salesperson. Good stuff. I'm glad he's not around to
Yeah, right.
As always, we start our last segment by thanking John, our engineer. Thanks for everything, keeping us in line today. All the sponsors of the show, including Bill Netherton, Professional Bartenders, of course, David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Candace Eaton, Seaton Photography, Danny McPadden from Last Bridge Media, JD Delgado from Roofs Are Hot. Mo Russo, Executive and Business Coach, Robert Callison from E-Force Marketing, the Spark Project Collective, and of the newest sponsor, Adelie Hunt, who will be here in studio in about a month. April 26th, she'll be in studio, her first in-person appearance on the show. And a reminder, April Fool's Day, get out and network with us at the Arizona Sands Club, the 5th floor of the U of A Stadium. Just park across at the Cherry Street Garage, walking through the big doors. Tell the receptionist that you're there for the networking event. Go up on the 5th floor, bring some business cards, and, the little appetizers are on us. And next week we have special guest Bill Netherton from Professional Bartenders Unlimited.
Great guy.
Yeah, talk about a quick show that that'll be.
Yeah.
I've talked to Bill a few weeks ago, and he has a ton of stuff he wants to share next
Yeah.
week. Yeah, so
He's a great guy.
yeah.
Great guy. Man, we're
Well-
down to like 12 minutes left.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
yeah.
It goes by way too fast.
You brought up something to where we were talking about it during the break, right? I mean, it's a lot of your network, right? You're talking about a group that you belonged in. It was part of your network, kind of hooked you up with that, right? So, I mean, do you have people that you want to make sure that you touch base with, that you sit down with a coffee or have lunch with on a very consistent basis? You get them on your schedule on a regular basis, or is it just kind of something that just develops as a relationship
I think it just develops.
Yeah.
I don't really make it a point to meet for coffee or what have you, because I mean
Yeah.
I don't have time. You know what I
Right,
mean? And
right.
that sounds like a lame excuse, but you got to if you say you don't have time, then that means you're not committed, right?
Right, right.
But I do make sure that I do the touches. Whether it's a phone call, because
Right.
I have a list of my
I think I talk on the phone more with you than anybody.
yeah.
You do make a lot of calls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's good.
My phone is just.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be on like maybe a 1 hour Zoom call webinar,
Yeah.
and I'll have 18 missed calls.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whether they're legitimate or just I get spam like crazy.
Yeah,
With telemarketing and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But I do have a top list of clients, though, that I make sure
Right.
that I'm present.
Right.
In front, because they're referring me business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
think.
it's
I
the
can think of
80-20 rule. You
Yeah,
talk about this all the time. I don't care what business you are in.
80-20.
80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your
20%.
clients, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's them, their word of mouth, whatever that is.
And on the flip side too, 80% of your work,
Mm-hmm.
Is from
Right.
20% of your clients.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about it. If you're a bar or a restaurant and you got the regulars that come in and you're not taking care of those people, or you see somebody come in twice in a week, flip them. How do you flip them into that 20%? Well, what's a missing
Service, attention.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's missing in our era today is that service and attention, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I go to. I'm sorry, I'm not supporting local. It is locally owned, but I know the guy who owns the Chick-fil-A that I went to.
Right. Right.
But part of the reason why I go there is because the service is great.
Oh, I haven't. I have not been into one Chick-fil-A that had bad service.
I know. I know.
And
So,
and I'm talking not even in Tucson.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember in North
Yeah.
Carolina,
Yeah.
South
Yeah.
Carolina. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the culture.
And again, there's 2 Starbucks that I regularly go to.
Mhm.
One of them always drive through, and they know me.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, you want the regular in a drive-through?
They hear your voice.
And then the one that I'll walk into sometimes during the week, I walk in and half of them, hey, Sean, how's it going? And they already got my drink,
Yep.
registered and this and that. And it's like, it's customer service.
Yeah.
You know?
It's in my business too. We've talked about this in the past as well. Clients or customers.
Right.
What's the label, right?
Right.
My business is relationships, just like yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
I'm not selling cars. One and done,
Yeah.
or furniture, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
You got to build that relationship. You got to
Yeah.
get to know your
But
clients.
have you met Fernando Rodriguez? He's a good buddy of mine.
I don't think
He's been
so.
selling cars forever.
No.
You know how many times he picks up the phone to try to get somebody to buy? Never. Because all his word of mouth.
Right, referrals.
He will sell 12 to 15 cars in his sleep every month just for being in the office.
Right.
It's just, myself and my daughters have both went to him. It's like, you're just going to go to this guy.
Yeah.
He has 3 generations of families who have bought vehicles from him.
Yeah.
Because he takes care of his people. And to do it in that industry, it says a lot about you.
Yep.
It says a lot.
I think that's what differentiates myself. Like I told you, how many agents there are, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
Medicare. Take it a step further. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get to know these people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, what are their hobbies? What do they like to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Build that personal relationship. Because like I said, I treat all my clients like family.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after I meet,
And you
them
really
for the
do.
first, I meet them for the
You
first
really
time,
do,
and
yeah.
and I enroll them or what have you.
Yeah.
The last thing I say before they walk out of the office is "Welcome to the family."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Well, we're just.
I ain't 65 yet, though. I better get when I sign up for Medicare.
God willing, I'll be here.
We got 5 minutes left in
Wow.
the show.
Crazy.
And any last minute words of advice for somebody who's getting into their own practice, starting their own business? We've talked customer service. We've talked, networking. We what are some of the other intangibles? I mean, do you think you need to be a people person to have your own business?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think the advice I'd give, I mean, we've talked about it during the show, the segment, is one, I'm a firm believer, do it afraid, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like we all have, what's that, SWOT analysis? Right?
Yeah. The strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah. So know your strengths, focus on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Turn your weaknesses into strengths.
Yeah. And also don't turn your back on your strengths too.
No.
Like I told you
Enhance them.
today,
Enhance them.
I'm the book I'm listening to is This Is Marketing.
Yeah.
This is all I've done in my career, but still I'm trying to stay on top of the game. You know what I mean?
I think another thing too is, and I've been thinking about this entire week before this show.
About me?
Yeah. Every day I think about you, man. I call you every day. We talk.
You do,
we talk
we talk every
pretty much
day,
every day, except for this past weekend when I just kind of disappeared for a little while, which was nice. It was nice. Went to La Palma. I just lost my train of thought.
The silence is horrible for a radio show.
I know. Radio silence.
I'm gonna not challenge you a little bit, but it's not even a challenge at all. But going back to what we're saying is that you need to be a people person. I'm afraid of this generation and the businesses that are on the horizon.
Oh yeah,
because
AI,
this is not
technology,
this is not a personal a slap in the face to this generation. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to talk to people.
No, they don't.
In this upcoming, and COVID had a lot to do with it. There are a lot of reasons why. There are a lot of reasons why.
Yeah.
Social media, COVID. We're more aware of our mental health. There's a lot of more things that are affecting our mental health. But one of the things, like I've gone to the U of A few times to talk to some marketing classes, and the professors always cringe when I say this. One of the tips that I give is go out to a bar and talk to somebody you've never met in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell all the guys that. I don't tell the young women to do that.
Right.
But I tell the guys to go out to a bar and strike up a conversation, or the young ladies go out there to a coffee shop, go together or whatever, be safe, and strike up a conversation with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult for this generation to do that.
Oh yeah.
And this generation is petrified of failure. Petrified of failure.
Yep.
You
got to fail.
Yeah.
You got to fail.
You have to fail.
My thought came back. So, we all. I mean, I consider myself, likable, energetic, motivating, talk to anyone.
Yeah,
every now and then. But we all have our moments, right? It's like, hey, I'm not feeling the mojo right now.
Right.
And when you get to that point, you got to take a step back.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with customers. And you're face to face because they can tell if you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Don't let it show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's very difficult to do.
Go regroup.
Right.
Or just, leave the office.
Right. Yeah.
Or say, hey, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get rest, whatever the case may be, and back at it the next day.
What I do, a little trick to kind of reset myself, is that I think about some of the biggest challenges I've had in my career. And I think about, okay, what I have to do now today was nothing compared to that conversation.
Right, exactly. Or dealing with difficult people. When someone's really angry and nasty and mean, I'm like, God,
I've been through all that. I've made all those.
I'm glad my life is better than theirs.
I'm a lot more prepared every day.
Yep.
So those, challenges that come up during the day right now in my career are nothing compared to what probably you and I both have been through. So that's the way I kind of reset myself when I have a difficult conversation or a difficult task or something that's not going to be, fun to do. I think there's 2 or 3 times in my career I'm like, oh, remember that? This is nothing. Just suck it up, put your big boy pants on, and get this done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
This was a very quick hour, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, sir.
We're down to our last minute. Again, we have Bill Netherton coming in next week. You guys, please show up Tuesday if you're listening to the Arizona Sands Club. Meet myself and David in person.
Send me the link. I'll share it again.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to also, too, we've got about 45 seconds left, officially announce, you and I talked about this, but you are my CMO.
Thank you.
You're my Chief Marketing Officer.
Woo!
Yeah, buddy.
Boom. 1 down, 99 more to go.
You got it.
And thank you, everybody out there listening to the Marketing Corner. Really appreciate your audience. I love running into people during the week and saying they're listening to the show. It means a lot to me.
Absolutely.
And we're going to keep it rolling.
Doing great things, man.
Yeah.